know that 70% of young Christians today struggle with anxiety and depression, and how 60% of young Christian guys and 30% of young ladies struggle with issue of porn addiction? Funny how finding job, being financially stable, finding purpose in life has also been a major struggle among Christians today and young adults today. So today we are talking about 5 real struggles of Christians today, and this video is not just about talking about the struggles alone. We are going to be talking about finding a solution about this same struggles. And on today's show, I'm not alone. I have an amazing lady by my left hand side who will be giving us some of the struggles that ladies go through. I have with me a global broadcaster, a lover of God, and also a content creator, if I can add that. She's no other person than Miss Sharon. I call her Clean Sharon.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
Josh.
to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and to my right, I have an amazing man of God. He's a Christian, and I am thrilled by some of his content I have been seeing online. He has been dishing out light and leading a pathway for those who are in the dark. He's no other person than Pastor ThankGod. Easy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on today's show.
Hi, thank you for joining me on today's video. Still, before we go into the gist for today, I want you to understand that this video is solely a product of my work and it's not in any way associated or influenced by any denomination, group or body. However, denominations and churches that were mentioned in this video are just for the purpose of example and not to cast a spotlight on them. This directly focus on edifying the body of Christ and generally for Christians within his body. I trust this will bless you and I hope you learn 1 or 2 lessons from this video. Without further ado, let's dive back into the video.
So once again guys, you're welcome. So first of all, we'll start with the ladies and would want to know, first of all, a quick introduction what these struggles are. Basically, they may not be sin in general, they may just be struggles that we go through, and then sometimes we do it secretly, and then we are just sobbing and just trying to find solutions to this problem because they are not discussed openly. And sometimes we take longer time to overcome these struggles on our own. Some people go into depression, some people go into anxiety. But there is a way out. There is solution, and that's why the video today is targeted at providing solution to some of these struggles. And I would want the lady in our midst to give us maybe you just give us one first, and then we'll talk and navigate around it, and then at the tail end we'll get solutions from these struggles.
All right. Thank you, Josh, once again for the introduction.
You're welcome.
Okay, I will start off by talking about the dealing with societal and the church pressure. You know, when you talk about single lady, you talk about a single woman, the first thing that comes to your mind is the marriage aspect. Or is she in a relationship? Is she married? Is she this? Is she that? That's literally the first thought that comes to your mind. Unlike the male factor, when a male comes and says, okay, I'm single, I'm unmarried, you begin to check his worth, you begin to check his pockets, you begin to of course, all of that. So that is how the society has, you know, the idea they've carved into each and every one of us, of course. But like I said, going back to the point I made, societal dealing with societal and church pressure. How can we go about this as a single lady? Because it's something that really would eat deep into every Christian single, and I'm going to merge it up with overcoming loneliness. Yeah, these two points are important points that really get to single ladies.
Talking about what you just mentioned, I think generally, just like from the introduction I said, from the ages of 18 to 30, there are so many people who are wanting to come out from, should I say, the waiting room? Yeah. Kind of like the waiting room, and there's a pressure to feel among. Probably you are in a space where your friends are getting married.
It's getting married, and then it feels like you are stuck. It feels like you are stuck. I think it is something that happens, and we really don't talk about it. We don't talk about it because we feel, for the guy's perspective, we feel time will tell. you find a way around it. Just allow the Holy Ghost to lead you. There's no room for counseling. There's no room for mentorship, even from the ladies' perspective. I know from the guys' perspective, we are going to talk about that also, I believe. And then there's no room for counseling. There's no room for really having a one-on-one conversation with probably someone who has been in that space and has overcome. I don't know if you have get the point I'm trying to make.
Well, I would say that even from God's word, which is like the basis of our faith, the Bible commends that the older women should be examples to younger ladies. Yes, because sometimes like these young ladies find themselves, like you mentioned, in this waiting room, and it's almost like there is this subtle touch light on them where everyone is expecting them to get into a relationship, get married. It's even worse sometimes that even after marriage there's still that touch of when are you going to have a child. Yes. So I think that if we have the older women, for example, being godly examples to our younger ladies, it will not be hard to navigate the waiting phase and eventually being in relationships. I think if they are honest enough to show them their scars, it's not just you. There was a time it looked like nobody was even coming to seek for my hand in marriage. I remember my dad did XYZ and all that. I think it will be that cushion to this whole societal expectation from them. Let me just start out by saying that society doesn't forgive the guys. Yeah,
you're right.
But if there is one struggle, I think I would want to bring to light, at least for number one, will be the struggle of identity, who you are. Because I'm putting this out because many times I did mention that young men are not given that opportunity to. The society won't forgive you if you're not able to discover who you are and walk according. So there is this expectation of society on Christian brothers, young brothers. There is this expectation of society, and there is this struggle with identity, the struggle of who am I? And many times where this is not sorted, they begin to seek out their identity from all the wrong places, from peers, from maybe a celebrity. Yes. So it's important that these things are not just that we discuss them, but also that every young person, especially the brothers now, from a very young age, it's important that they have models, because it's easier to get somewhere when you know the people that taught the same route. Yes, you're not the first person to be a young man that is seeking to be established in life and destiny. So I think that struggle of identity, of who you are, is a struggle that many young Christian brothers face, and navigating it will entail mentorship. Yes, aside your rich relationship with God, which brings into your life a sense of satisfaction that, I may not be everything yet, but I know there is destiny on my life. I know there is a path I'm walking on. Yes, there's a drive, and I know that there is something God has said concerning my life. So I think it's a measure of both your relationship with God and the availability and connection to the right mentors.
I think for a start, for every, whether be it a boy or a girl, a young guy or a young lady, I think the first thing about knowing your identity is having a relationship with God. You can have relationship with whatever God you want, but for you to find identity, for you to fulfill the purpose of God for your life, there have to be an initial point in your life where you can pinpoint, yes, it was at this point I met God. When this is sorted out, I think spiritually, every other thing will fall in place when this mentorship, when having someone to look up to is actually in the picture. So God is like the foundation of it. So let's not just talk about having someone to mentor you. When God is in the equation, it makes the journey, make the blueprint that you are sticking to easier. I think for me that's what stood out for me as the issue of finding identity, issue of finding purpose in life.
Well, let's still talk about this finding identity and purpose. From the male's perspective, like you said, it's easier to turn towards the male, because when a male child is coming up, you just feel like you have to know your identity, you have to find your purpose.
Did you say it's easier?
Well, I said it's easier.
Okay.
Yes, because I feel like the society tilts towards the male in order for them to find purpose and find their identity.
Yeah.
I think I'm talking about the area of maybe building your career, building yourself as a man.
Okay.
Yes. I feel it's even more difficult for a woman, because at that point nobody is like looking or tilting towards the woman's side. It is more about the man, because even we women, we look towards the man. Oh, is he established? Is he achieved? Is he this? Is he that? Because when you meet a woman, the first thing you're looking at is not, is she achieved? Yeah, that might be on your list, but that is literally not the driving factor of you picking a woman. Yeah. So it is more on the male side than it is on the female side.
Sorry to cut you in. I want to say this. For the ladies, for example, from what you said, there is this focus on helping the men discover their identity, press into their career, become established. But it's creating a gap as well on the aspect of the ladies, because it's almost like much is not really being done, because eventually you're going to get settled. Yes. So whereas God created each and every one of us with unique identities in him, so the guy is now being prepped to become who he's supposed to be, but the lady is being prepped to become
and help me to the man.
In as much as she's supposed to be a helper, she's also supposed to know who she is. It's important. Identity is not a gender thing. I think as much as the guys know who they are, the ladies as well should know who they are. Yes, so that they don't become unnecessarily dependent, or a burden to their spouse eventually, right? Yes. So I think in as much as society focuses on, in many circles or many areas in society where they focus on helping the young man know who he is, setting examples for him, speaking to him that life is not really fair to men, so you have to begin to you need to be given to greets even on time. It's creating that gap towards the ladies, in as much as we know that there are different expectations for both of them. But I think the question of identity should come plain both to the brothers and to the sisters.
Balancing your faith and your daily responsibilities, because of course as a woman your daily responsibility is to grow into becoming a woman, grow into becoming that woman, grow into becoming his woman, and yes, you have that outside and we have that of the faith outside. So how do you get to balance this? That's a real struggle, that singles get to face, because you have your career to go for, you have your purpose, just like ThankGod has said, you have your purpose to look for, you have a lot of things, then you have, of course, just like I said, the responsibility of becoming that woman. It can be mentally draining, it can be emotionally, draining, and all of that. And I think it's something that many, ladies, or rather, literally everybody should look into.
To that, yes, I would say that it's actually very true that balancing your career, balancing your purpose, balancing expectations even from family can be a lot, especially for the ladies. They expect you to be very well trained, yes, nurtured, but yet driven. Yes, in as much as you're driven, you should also be someone who is like making strides in maybe other aspects of life. You're already taking your finances serious. I think that it's truly, it may be a bit of a struggle to, if it can even be a struggle for guys, how much more ladies, right? I think it can be a struggle for them, but in truth, I pointed out something earlier. I said, even though I think we said we're going to talk about the solutions eventually, but I still think that one of the, I'll just throw this in already, one of the ways to be able to mitigate this, right, or to solve this rather, is if I draw it into the context of men, it will be examples. Yes, the need for examples is so loud that because we don't have enough examples, I when I mean examples, I don't mean people just doing well. I mean people that are doing well and they are willing to teach what they know.
They've gone through that route.
Yes, they've gone through that route.
It's not just teaching what you've read.
Yes,
teaching from experience.
Yes, it's important that we know that the generation of our parents is not the same as our current generation. Some of the things that happened during their time is not exactly what is happening now. For example, some of them grew up not having to bother about, you mentioned pornography earlier. Some of them, they grew up not knowing what some vices were. But it's not the same for us. My mom showed me a video that was posted online. That was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, of young boys. When I mean young boys, I mean young boys. Maybe 9, 8, 10, that kind of smoking. And I don't even know who was behind the camera. But I'm saying all of this to say that our generation is peculiar. Yes. So, in truth, ladies are faced with the expectation of having a balanced life with career, with their faith walk. In fact, people expect you to be so perfect, even though I believe no believer should be complacent, but they expect you to be so flawless that without any form of mentorship or training or example, you are just that person. And it's also a problem. Let me chip this in already. It's also a problem young men face. They begin to give you responsibility from without knowledge. Yes. And when you mess up, there is this, don't you know you are supposed to? Yes, we expected more from you. Yes. So I truly believe that if we are going to be better Christians, better believers, if we're going to be people that will be salt and light in our world, these issues must be treated. So for young men, I would say I'll just be point blank. The struggle of finances. Yeah. I think you only live so far to realize that money is a challenge. When you go through primary school, they're giving you tips. You go to the university, they are giving you handouts. That money has finished. They send you something. But after a while, especially maybe upon graduation, in fact, around your final year, yes, extra for yourself, yes. So this financial struggle, because the fact that we are Christians, we're not removed from the world. The Bible says we're in the world, but we are not of the world. So we still face some of the challenges that the people on earth face. And finances is a thing even to both for Christians and non-Christians. But it's worse for Christians because you've removed the gap of compromise. You are not going to go into fraud. You are not going to go into... In fact, there are certain jobs you cannot take. So it's important that you really know the stuff of the finances. It's important that you're not just guessing your way hoping that yes, that thing where you're going on the road and you're like, God, if I just have those things, don't work. I think it's important that every young man, even though it's a struggle, and I'm not about to provide a solution, right? It's important that we consider this, because many times there are many Christian circles that are not being vocal about this, right? Yes, they're not being vocal about finances. So it's important that every young man begins to understand this early, because you don't even have, sorry to say, they still call our country a third world country, right? So it's not like the large percentage of the population, and even the Christian population, it's not like you have the leverage. It's not like you were born into that leverage where you can easily begin to scale. Yes. Yes. So for some people, you have to buy the hoe, you have to buy the axe, you have to buy the tools first, and then you begin to drill. Others wake up and there's a pipe drawing water from the source already. But I think what he's trying to say is that there is leverage. But you see, the fact that many Christian young people don't have that leverage brings to mind the importance of mentorship, like I mentioned, but also that taking the knowledge of finances serious, because it's a real struggle. Many young people that should have settled since they are 25, 26, when they check that if I settle now, somebody was telling me that the way young people are settling, some of their parents were better off than them when they settled. So it means that they are going to, sorry to say, if God doesn't help them, they will find themselves somewhere around their life, especially when they persistently make poor choices. They will find themselves under where their parents are, and it will really be frustrating, because the person will be like, oh, I spent my days in church, I was serving the Lord, I was right. Yes, in as much as God blesses, but God doesn't just bless because you are living righteously alone. It's part of it, because the Bible said that Joseph was a prosperous man. God's presence was with him and he made him prosper. Yes, but there was an understanding that Joseph had even about management, because we see it reflect in Egypt, that eventually when he got to Egypt, it was no longer just about God being with him. He could provide solutions, which is one of the ways young people can attract finances. So I think it's really a struggle that we should look into.
I think finance should be a topic that would actually sit down to talk about. It's actually a broad topic, both from the guy's perspective and even the lady's perspective. But I think for me, this is my own point of view. I think for ladies, most times they just expect the man to not really take the trunk of the whole financial responsibility. Some ladies just have that mindset that if I get married, my man should take care of me. As much as that somehow is correct, I think from the part of the ladies, there is still work to do.
Of course, there is still work to do. See, everything just boils down to society. Society plays a huge role in the life of literally everybody.
Yeah.
Because before you are born, there is a system.
Yeah.
So you are born into that system, and you are born into taking up the idea that the system has already set.
Yeah.
As a female, growing up, I just felt like, I don't need much work to do. When I get to a certain point, I get to get married, the man will take care of me. But as we get to, experience a lot of things, we now get to understand that, it's actually not like this. If I want to live a life different from the way it has always been, I have to do things differently.
Yeah.
And so we pick up the mindset of, while my man is hustling, I need to also get something. Not because I need to, take the burden, the financial burden, but because I need to be an helpmate, and I need to be an accurate and good, effective helpmate. Yeah.
Struggle of purity. Yes, it's the struggle of purity. I think, in fact, that's my number one. If I was going to say, or I wouldn't want to dethrone identity, because one of the ways you even navigate staying pure is understanding your identity. Yes, so identity will still take number one, but then number two will be purity, because it's so much of a challenge that we don't talk about it. We shove it aside. We are very quiet. It's even more recently that people are talking about it loud, and maybe you may have, yet it's like a pandemic. Let me say this. I have the privilege of being very close to being in touch with I would want to call them the Gen Z II, right? Yeah, if there's something like that. I mean the Gen Z II, right? I'm very much in touch, and the peculiarity of that generation, aside the unseriousness that comes right with that generation, is the problem of purity. Now I know purity, especially sexual purity, is a thing for every Christian, both adults, both millennials, and both Gen Z. It's a thing for every Christian. But then this coming generation, we didn't used to know that it was possible to be exchanging nudes. But these days, and this is not to condemn anyone, because I counsel with people that are genuine Christians, that are born again, and before they got born again, maybe they sent out nudes or they engaged in one thing or the other. This is no condemnation, but it's just how much of who is training that generation, because the parents think they are training them, but they are being trained somewhere else. Yes. So the struggle of purity, especially sexually, is a problem for both brothers. Even sisters. Yes, even sisters. So it's something that should not be shoved aside. A lot of Christian circles may be skeptical about bringing it to the front burner, but I tell you, it has eaten deep to the fabric of both society and even religion, because anything sells once there is some touch of nudity.
And that brings me to a point. There's a particular platform, I wouldn't want to mention the name now. If you are to put your product on that platform and there is no scene of nudity,
yeah, I think I know the platform,
won't accept it. So there have to be a particular scene of nudity or immorality. Just let it be a scene of it before it's been. In fact, that's one of the criteria of selling your product on that platform.
Now imagine a young person or a young man is growing, and oh my God, sometimes when I counsel with people now, I thank God for the privilege He has granted to me. I'm like, I once counseled with someone who was, this is a lady that already had a girlfriend.
A lady?
Yes.
Oh, the lady had a girlfriend.
Yes. So I don't want to be too, but like, yes. And I was asking, not just for her, right? Not just for her. I would counsel with people, and sometimes I would say, what was your earliest sexual experience? Many people didn't get to learn about sex from their parents. They just found it out. And once they find it from, oh my God, imagine your child finding something as flammable as sex outside your supervision, right? It can make or mar their lives. So when I counsel with people, sometimes I'm like, especially people that struggle, sometimes you dig back and it was maybe a molestation, maybe an early exposure to maybe pornography or yes, all those things. Yes, those things may have shaped their mind, and then their parents were not able to counterbalance that negative ideology early. And then this person grows to think that this is what it is. this is what it is.
Then you find a path for yourself
Yes.
in that direction.
And as you are grooming your doctor in school, you are grooming an addict. You are grooming your banker. You're also sponsoring. Do you understand? And while this is not a shade to anyone, because it's a real struggle of society. Yes, in fact, there's nobody in this room that if we're gonna be honest, you've not come across something. Yes, so we don't need to paint anybody distant in bad light. Yes, this is what stares each and every one of us in the face every day.
Websites you go, and then to do something oppositely different.
Yeah. And you just like see
And then it pops in.
Websites are even, let's even talk about the normal social media, social
Yeah.
media, the medium. Facebook, let me tell you a story. So I was in church one Sunday and I needed to send something from my phone to a sister's phone. So I took her phone. And I don't even know what we're doing. I can't clearly remember, but I needed to go on her Facebook. Of course, she was there. So we entered into her Facebook. And on the story, the place given for story, I saw like, of course, it was like two persons having sex. Now it was like a video. But you could see that our reactions, I wasn't shocked. She wasn't shocked also. Why? Because I've come across that kind of thing over and over again. Whenever I'm on my Facebook, I love Facebook. That's like my favorite app, right? So whenever I'm on Facebook, it just pops up a video. And I'll click on that video, click on the name. Let me see what is the correlation, what joined me and you together. And I see that I'm following this particular person. It happened the first time, second, like countless of times. You just see that you're following this, but you are both friends. And this is the content that this person shares. So we weren't even shocked. Now imagine if a child, or let me not say a child, a teenager comes across this kind of thing,
in private.
Now we know about it. We are Christians. We understand that, this can corrupt our soul, so we know that we are not supposed to take this content in. But imagine a teenager coming across this without being aware that something like this can pop up on your page anytime. It really can corrupt the mind, really.
I think to that, I think the solution to that, I think there are other apps.
Are there solutions to that?
I think for a Christian who knows where he or she is heading, you may have some profound solution. Knowing who you are, where you are going, and what you want for yourself.
Of course, we are not even talking now. As a Christian, you definitely will know. I like I said, I come across those videos.
So
what do? I unfollow those people.
So you unfollow, but it doesn't mean that those stuff will stop popping up.
And that's why I say, are there really solutions to that?
For me, what I would suggest to that is, as much as we want to preach the gospel, do all these stuff on the internet and all, I think it's very important to reduce our screen time. Is in fact on my YouTube, I set a max for an hour. If I'm on YouTube and I spend more than an hour, my videos will stop playing and to tell me that it's time to take a break. So I think on these platforms, I don't know for other platforms, I think for YouTube there's a settings for that. I think the major goal is to reduce your screen time and reduce that scrolling dopamine, because they've designed it in such a way. I was talking to a director this morning. I said those days of Facebook on a Java phone, you scroll from Facebook and when you get to the last page, you have to click next. You have to click page 2. But now they've designed all these platforms in such a way that it keeps rolling. But the moment you like a particular content, the algorithm discovers that you like this, it brings it from here, and it keeps feeding you. I think the point is, reduce your screen time, irrespective of what you think you want to achieve for that day. Maybe even if you want to preach, reduce your screen time. It helps a long way in curbing some of these materials that pops up on our screen and all. I think for the issue of purity, just like he has said, it's a struggle for both the guy and the lady. And then, just like he has also said, knowing who you are, knowing what you want for yourself, it goes a long way in shaping the way you kind of overcome this struggle.
So, for number 5, I would say building and sustaining meaningful relationships. And this is not just for romantic relationships or by that I mean relationships that will lead into marriage, right? Yes, I truly believe that it's also a challenge with young people navigating making the right moves as pertains to relationships. Many times we enter into relationships, and by this I mean again any kind of relationship, based on proximity, based on where we were born. These were my guys from day one, right? Sometimes you don't really get the leverage of connecting with the people you really need for your journey, right? And I'll just tie this up with saying that for you to be able to make meaningful relationships, you must be a person of prayer, because not everybody that comes friendly is a friend. Yes, not everyone who comes friendly is a friend. And the same thing applies even for the sisters. You need strategic and very and important destiny relationships as you go along life. So it usually can be a struggle to young men, because some of us don't know how to position ourselves for or to entering the right relationship, right? Yes, the Bible said that anyone who will make friends, paraphrasing now, must first show himself friendly. So there's a disposition that comes from you first before you attract the right people. And then number two, I would like to tie that point up with is praying. God has a way of pulling people from the east, west, north, and south and filtering the right people into your life. You are not as important or great as you may think if you have the wrong people around you. Things like betrayal, even self-esteem issues, sometimes they arise from friendships, right? Yes, if you have friends that don't celebrate your uniqueness. I believe that every form of relationship, especially friendship, must be that there is the code of honor where you recognize each other's uniqueness and you celebrate it. You are loud about it. You are not trying to this my friend is getting ahead. No, you are so secure that God is doing it for my friend. God is in our neighborhood. Right?
It shouldn't be like a competition.
Yes, and this is for relationships this is for friendships, right? Relationships where you need to be in, right, for leverage. Someone very far, you've never met them. So how do you relate with them? Someone said that God is in heaven. The only way we would have been able to relate to God was that he came. Right? There are some people that have to come for you. You can't go for them. Becoming someone who is given to prayer, right? Who doesn't just make friends on face value. You're sensitive. Abraham had this hack. He could spot when people were not ordinary. He spotted two angels.
When they came.
Yes. Imagine not knowing the guy that will
prophesy.
Yes.
Or deliver the message that
yes.
God has.
And eventually, they were like, according to this time of life, God was speaking, Sarah, your wife, will conceive. Imagine skipping that from the story of Abraham. So I truly believe that we must be discerning enough as Christians to be able to identify the right people, navigating relationships. Someone said that the very word be fruitful means be relational. Yes, be relational. Everything on earth is thriving because there are men on earth and there are relationships to be built.
That's powerful. We should have a book for that. We should have a book for that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the closing remark, what you just said about building relationship. Now, building relationship is in the context of not relationship leading to marriage. Sometimes it is, but most times it's not. It's having a relationship with people, having to build a good and healthy relationship with people. So, Sharon, what are your closing remarks? What are tips for solutions? What are your closing remarks like?
Right. I would say for every struggles that I and ThankGod, as well as the host has mentioned, they can be overcome. It's not going to be a struggle for life. There are times where you would not even remember that you've gone through those struggles.
Exactly.
Waiting season is not for life. The waiting season is just for a time. And God is going to, of course, renew the strength of those that wait diligently. So you have to diligently wait, and then you get your reward, but you will definitely overcome. For those that might be having body struggles with body positivity and all of that, you need to be in a community whereby you'll be reminded that you are created in God's image. I know it's not going to be easy to have that, but it's not going to be easy to remind yourself over and over again. Yes, we know the devil can play a pivotal role by reminding you that you are not that. That's why you would need a community, people that will remind you, tell you that you are beautiful the way that you are. And for those that are having struggles with, success, because we live in a world that is vile and in a world that you have to be sinful to be able to be successful. Remember, Joseph went through it and he still succeeded. God is going to come through for you. In everything we do, we have God, and that's why your sincerity with God is very important. It's not about the church going and all of that, but your little corner, what you have with God, will really play out for you well, in the long run, when all of these struggles begin to overwhelm you and all of that. And lastly, I would say, of course, finding identity and purpose. Yes, it's going to take a time. I think finding identity and purpose is one of the things that, because I think our purpose and identity literally changes over
our
time.
trajectory. It changes the way we live our life.
Yes.
That's why at the beginning of the video we started with, in fact, behind the scene, that was not the actual process of how we arranged the topic, the points, right? So, and we decided to put finding your purpose, finding identity first, because it is when you have this sorted out at the initial, that every other thing, irrespective of the challenges that comes on your journey, it is being solved, it is being fixed, it's being arranged, because you're able to find your identity in Christ.
I want to say this. I
Okay.
think, just to be clear, I think our trajectory, like you said, our path, I think that was what Sharon was trying to imply, is changing. You don't even know what it will look like in the next 40 years.
Exactly.
But where your identity in Christ is defined and solid, you will be able to navigate it.
So it's been a time of conversation with these brilliant minds, and the reason why we put out this content is because this channel is dedicated to Christian growth, Christian lifestyle, relationship, and how to find faith in God. I know there are people out there who are actually struggling. For a fact, the economic situation of the place you find yourself, with the current situation of the country and all, I know there are people that are actually struggling, and I want you to know that in this struggle you are not alone. In as much as you have sorted out your identity in Christ, you know the God you are serving. He said, those they that do wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And in this just story, he said they shall mount up with wings like eagles. And the eagles is not like the chicken that is always at the base. It's so high in respect of the storm, the weather, the place, the climatic condition it finds itself. It doesn't change the identity of the eagle. And that's why we are still emphasizing, or I'm still emphasizing the fact that know your identity, know who you are, know your path, know your purpose, know the God you are serving. And then when struggles of life comes, when challenges of life comes, they give you this become a stepping stone to your to the greatest height that God has designed for you. I hope you've been blessed with this content, and if you have been blessed, I would want you to click the subscription button and turn up your notification bell, and also it's when you like this content that the algorithm pushes it out to others. And I hope this has been a blessing to you, and if it has been a blessing to you, subscribe and follow for more. Thank you very much for being a part of this wonderful season. It's the closing video for the season, and I really want to appreciate you from following from the first video to the 10th video. I hope that next season becomes a better season and a more fruitful season for each and every one of us. Thank you for being with us thus far. See you in the next video next season. Bye.